Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer from Voga Coffee. The Ground Control will unlock levels of your coffee that you never thought possible. Through the SCA award-winning technology, it's able to extract an incredible range of flavors and give you control to do it over and over again, making batch brew coffee better than it's ever been in our industry, and I mean that sincerely. The Ground Control not only makes game-changing batch brew coffee, but also tea, batch diced lattes, batch cold brew, and so it's not only a quality game changer, it's also a game changer when it comes to versatility. To find out more information about getting this in your store, go to groundcontrol.coffee. Again, that website to learn more about the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer, groundcontrol.coffee. Today's episode is also brought to you by La Marzocco. They've been making espresso machines by hand in Florence, Italy since 1927. They have grown lockstep with the specialty coffee retail industry, serving us with what I consider the most reliable equipment you could get for the heart of your business, the espresso. They listen to the feedback from their customers. They have made so many great innovations over the years, even to this day, with their new KB90 machine, has the straight-in locking portafilters. We've never seen that before, but it helps with ergonomics. Auto flush for increased cleanliness and speed. Built-in scales that increase the consistency of your espresso. And it's just one example of many that you could find. La Marzocco USA is available to help you get the best equipment for your cafe. Just reach out to one of their sales directors by emailing info@lamarzocousa.com. And again, definitely visit them at their website over at lamarzocousa.com. Okay, everybody. Well, today I want to talk about hard work. I want to talk about the difference between hard work and toxicity, because I think sometimes we conflate the two when we work in coffee bars. Before we get started, I just want to say that this is not some kind of a, Gen Y or Gen Z or, they're all lazy and they always blah, blah, blah. This is something I have seen as long as I have been working. I have been working with people who have either, accepted that work was work and work was hard and you should feel tired at the end of the day because you worked hard. And then there are people who felt as though because they were working hard that something was wrong and that their muscles hurt, something was wrong. And the system was, bleeding them dry and all this other stuff. And so there is, I think right now, because we use the word I use the word toxic on this show lots because it's actually true. I mean, toxic to me has to do with something that is turned or something that is wrong, that is harmful, that is something that I think has no place, like a square peg going through a round hole or, something that you wouldn't expect to be in the place where you are. It's out of context. I don't expect to get sick from something that I eat. However, if there's something that's turned in it and gone toxic, any of you who have gone through the health department trainings and food safety managers trainings and all that will know things that are good can eventually become, in turn, toxic if not kept in a proper environment. This, of course, happens all the time in work environments where people come in and they occupy a position, but eventually they use their position for something that is wrong, being controlling or being abusive and things like that. It's not necessarily the position itself, it's the person using the position, and they have brought some toxicity into that, or that person has been allowed to make the good thing turn bad. Now, because there's such a focus on the idea that we have to be on the lookout for toxicity in the workplace, we have, I think, conflated toxicity with something that's not comfortable for us. And here's the thing. Not every bad feeling that you have is a sign of toxicity in the workplace. Not every hard thing that's done is something that needs to be fixed. Sometimes it's just really hard to work in a coffee bar. And we've all been there. Working a rush, getting really tired, feeling drained at the end of the day. This is not, at a certain point, this is not a problem to be solved. We're not supposed to feel refreshed at the end of the day. Work is supposed to make you tired. Work is supposed to be an expending of your energy so that if you've given your energy out, it means you have less energy later than you previously had. This is something that I have seen time and time again be sort of used as, well, something is wrong. I'm just so tired. And, well, it's not that there's something wrong. It's just that the job is hard. And there might be ways to make the job easier. There might be ways to make it a little bit less hard. There might be things that are just obviously not supposed to be as hard as they are. We talk about it on the show all the time when it comes to, resourcing your staff with tools that they need to do their job. However, if you just think about this from the perspective of somebody who's working in a coffee bar who is being paid a ton of money, like beyond living wage, think about the fact that they have all the tools at their disposal that they need and all of the affirmation from their peers and their bosses that they could ever desire. This is an ideal situation. Now, we're all trying to achieve something like this, right? But if there's a lot of business to be done in that place, at the end of the day, no matter how well taken care of you are, you're probably going to run up against yourself. That's what we don't talk about very much, is that sometimes the perception we have of something being hard and that it's somebody else that's making it hard for us is just that we've reached our limit. And sometimes we also get in our own way. We're not looking at ourselves as the impediment to working better. But I know from personal experience that I have worked shifts that should not have been as hard as they were. And the reason was not because the cafe didn't set me up, it's because my bad attitude was getting in the way. And so at the end of the day, I felt extra drained, extra tired. And without any kind of self-awareness, it's easy for me to assume, and this is true, by the way, for me, especially because I have a default of blame shifting to other people besides myself. You can ask my wife, you can ask friends of mine. I mean, this is something that I've been working on in my life for a long time. And my reflex now is way better than it ever was. It's something that comes with age. And thank God I've been able to, have people in my life that have called me out on it. But we have to look at ourselves as the perpetrators of some of this unnecessary difficulty. But we should never think that we are in pursuit of a lack of difficulty, of a lack of tiredness, or a lack of hard work. Now, there is a sweet kind of tiredness that comes over us, I will say. If you've done good work, if you've worked on something that you're passionate about, you are tired. You might even feel drained, but you might have a smile on your face at the end of the day. That's good. That's a good sign. But the emotional, mental, and physical toll that work takes on us is not a perpetual sign of baked-in toxicity. We have to draw a line somewhere where we say, this is just work. It's not a conspiracy. It's not somebody else's fault. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. And I do think that a lot of times we tend to look at it from the reductive notion that I'm tired, I feel wiped out, this is somebody else's fault. This is not right. This shouldn't happen. No. It really should. This is what work is. You should be drained, you should be tired, but in pursuit of what? I think if you're having those thoughts, you have to first look at yourself, but then you have to think, maybe this isn't for you. It could be. Now, you could be in a situation where you aren't given the tools to do your job well, and it really does suck to work where you work because it's needlessly difficult, implying that there is needed difficulty. Then, if there is needless difficulty, there is needed difficulty. Then we have to decide how to make that better, either by contributing to a solution or by removing ourselves from the situation. But again, we can't have the attitude that an absence of difficulty is somehow something that we have to pursue in order to know that things are right in the world. Because difficulty and challenge and overcoming obstacles and, that's part of achievement. That's what gives us satisfaction, is making progress on those things. So as a barista or a middle manager or someone, this is something that I would encourage you to think about, right? And as an owner, this is also very much true. I hear so much complaining from owners about how difficult it is to work with people, to do this thing of working in a coffee bar. A lot of it might be based on the misguided notion that working in a coffee bar was supposed to be really chill. The way a lot of people apply for working as a barista, they're just like, well, I really like the atmosphere. I think this would be a chill job. You'd be shocked at how many people start coffee bars as owners who think the exact same thing. They would just as soon put an application in to be a barista as they would become an owner. That's a huge problem. And it actually translates into this, attitude that where people are just miffed. They're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how hard this is. Something must be wrong. And it is just hard. It's not that there's something wrong with your staff. It's just that training staff is difficult. How many baristas do you think are kept back from getting raises, are fired, are not even hired because the owner or the hiring manager or somebody is trying to make things as easy for themselves as possible, the misguided notion that success is based on absence of difficulty? It's ridiculous, because success in any position you have in the coffee bar is based on how you perceive difficulty, how you receive it, and then how you reflect it back. In other words, how resilient you are. That doesn't mean that you don't ever fire somebody or that you make different hiring decisions. Of course, you have to be shrewd. You have to be wise. You have to recognize and parse out the difference between something that truly is bad and something that is not. But start with the idea that maybe we have somewhat of a lazy bone in our bodies. I know I do, and I'm certainly talking to myself here. But we, like water going through a puck of espresso, always look for the path of least resistance. And it's the job of the job itself to offer resistance so that as we work through that stuff, just like water through coffee, we extract the necessary components to make something good at the end. That is what work is all about. Working in a coffee bar is just the same as any type of work out there. And part of how we succeed is by accepting the necessary difficulties and working on optimizing and eliminating the unnecessary ones. When we can get that right, then we get more from our work. Tired as we may be, we're still finding joy in the midst of it. And I think that's ultimately what gives meaning to the work that we do in our coffee shops. So I hope that this was a helpful episode for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in, and I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break. From keys to the shop.